Hey everyone, welcome back to Someone's PC. I'm here with Dylan, myself, and Franco Takahashi. We've had him on the show before, I think, to do an expanded discussion.
Yeah.
Right when they announced expanded and a little bit before Worlds. So Franco, introduce yourself if you'd like to. If not, you can have
All
Dylan
right.
do it.
Hey guys, my name is Franco Takahashi, and some people also knows me as Curtis, just because I'm half Japanese and I have my name registered with my dad's last name, but in Japan they know me as Takahashi, so I just keep it like that. It's easier that way, and I'm familiar with that last name better. So, but yeah, uh, I play
Accomplishments,
Worlds.
anything? Yeah, play Worlds. Talk
I
yourself up.
play Worlds. Sure. I won Florida regionals back in 2010. I barely until this past year, I barely traveled outside of Florida for events. So mainly, I was playing in inside Florida events like states and regionals and nationals. So a lot of people from Florida knows me, but it was not until last year that I started more like traveling more outside regional. So people got to know me better over the time recently. But yeah, play World this year, made it to day two, and yeah, I'm kind of decided to like trying to travel more often after last season.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, crushed regionals, didn't play that much. Then as soon as you came back, made day two, played like cool seismitoad Genesect deck, the same deck that Yamamoto played for anybody who watched like the invitational, 60 cards invitational thing. So pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good, respectable player. So that's
Yeah.
why we'll take his opinion and have him on the show and everything. So,
Yeah,
And
um,
Franco's awesome.
yeah, Franco's pretty cool. Pretty cool dude.
yeah,
Uh,
like I said, people who played in Florida knows me really well. Man, trying to get to know or trying to see if other people get to know me better by traveling more now.
yeah, it's usually what happens.
Mhm.
Or like you could just be around Dylan all day and you get all the fanboys. Everyone that loves Dylan. It's like,
There's some haters too.
oh,
It's all
there's
right.
tons of haters. You're supposed to have them. That's why they have those memes. Okay.
Yeah, there's always the fans and the haters.
All right.
All
So,
right.
um,
So this week
big
we're on
announcement
to
this week.
focus mornings.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. Shift
All right.
tree.
Yeah. Shift
But
tree. Shift tree. So Dylan was just about to say we're gonna talk about expanded.
yeah. And then I
And
was
the
gonna
big
go into
reason
shift
is
tree.
because Shift Tree got banned, which I saw coming the entire time. Like, there's no way. As soon as they made that post, that Stephen Bates screenshotted and said that they're looking into the issue with Shift Tree, uh, I was hoping that they would realize the problem is the forest, and make it so you have to evolve into a grass, or like do something to it. I don't care, ban it from expanded, whatever. But I think the fortress was just as much of a problem as Shift Tree was, but they got rid of Shift Tree because it was the main like voice of complaint, and maybe Fortress didn't have as good of a win rate as it did against Shift Tree, etc.
I
But
think Fortress's win rate is a little less high because when you think about like all the ways that how many times you could actually realistically use Fortress, like you have
mhm.
four Fortress, assuming you don't prize anything. You have four Devolution sprays. That's like 8 times. If you flip heads on half your super scoop ups, that's
Hmm.
10 times. You get your super scoop up cyclone. That's 11. And then if half of your cycles work for Devolution sprays, that's 13. You're probably gonna have to prize your Juniper one. So we'll say like 12, 13 times. Like that's like being optimistic, assuming you draw through every card and don't have like a lot of bad prizes, don't sycamore away things. Then you're only placing like 130 damage, and of course you can Latios Donk something. But if your opponent ever opens with two EXs, you're realistically never going to win the game turn one. If your opponent opens with Wobbuffet, you're never going to win the game turn one. So like I feel like a lot of those like different scenarios are definitely going to give it a lower win rate than Shiftery. Like Shiftery, if they open with two EXs, you're fine. But if
Yeah,
they open with two EXs or even one Whale Lord, you're not so fine. One Whale Lord does it.
Yeah, it's Shift Tree was just really strong. I mean, it made the game really like coin flip based. Like if you go second and if you don't start off like the right card and stuff, you can lose the game. As I mentioned in the previous game, in the previous video, I was okay with the giant forest card, but Shift Tree wasn't for me. So I
yeah.
think they did the right thing.
I agree with Franco. Yeah, I think even though Fortress sucks,
Do you like? I'm not saying do you like Fortress staying around, but do you think it's also ban worthy? Like
no,
in your guys'
is
eyes,
a lot less.
Okay.
The win rate is lower.
Yeah.
Because if you open 2EXs, your opponent has a problem.
Yeah,
I guess
which
so.
is like very realistic. Like, I mean, if you think about like, I mean, it depends what deck you're playing. But if
Of
you're
course.
playing like a deck like Virizion Genesector that's like centered around 2EX attackers, it's like there's a reasonable chance that you open with 2EXs, and then there's also that people that are gonna play Wobbuffet for Archeops. So, and it's a deck that kind of only works when you go first. So,
Yeah.
it's the deck that's probably not gonna win the tournament. And although people might play it, it's not like a huge threat.
I still think it's strong though.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say like threat as in ban worthy, game breaking, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I just don't like it. I
I'll be upset
just
if I
don't like
lose
it.
to it because it's uninteractive and unfun, just like great. I wouldn't mind if they banned Fortress, but it's not as much of a problem. I think.
Yeah,
it's less
Shift
of a
Tree was.
problem.
Yeah, I feel the same.
I wouldn't want them to ban Giant Plant Forest because I feel like it does allow for like other combos, like Bioplume things and Executor things and Excelgor things that Vespiq things, what have you, that might not be possible without it. So I feel like overall it's good for the game, but it's just bad because of these Fortress and Shift 3 things.
I think it's a fun card for the format.
Yeah.
Aside from its little issues and all that.
Yeah, Grass doesn't have a lot going for it. Give it some love.
Yeah.
Okay, so if everyone should know this by now, they announced every regional next year is going to be expanded. So expanded
in the U.S.
In the
anyway.
U.S. Sorry.
And there's an Arena Cup this weekend, I
in
believe,
Europe.
in Germany that's coming up. So some Europeans might be preparing for that, and they have even a shorter clock than a lot of the U.S. players do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, with that said, we wanted to bring out like a couple decks that we think are going to be strong that should be in testing circles. It's not necessarily the best decks off the top of our heads, but it's just like things that people are talking about or
And if people
testing
are talking about
that the
it, then you
general
might run
community
into
are.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like so you might run into it. Like obviously we're not going to leak every single secret that we might have, but
We don't have any.
we don't have any
I don't
secrets
have
yet.
any
Wait.
Not
secrets,
yet.
guys.
We're
I
gonna
haven't done that much testing. Since
We're gonna
I
do,
wrote
like,
my
2
Six
weekends of
Prizes
testing.
article.
and then start
Yeah, we've been
starting
having a long vacation from Worlds.
Yeah.
Okay, so to get into it, the first one we have is the Yveltal Archeops list that we took off of Team Fish Knuckles website. We appreciate it, Squeaky. Shout out to Squeaky. And this list is, I believe, back from Spring Regionals that someone in Canada used.
Okay, so it
in
doesn't have
top
new
8.
cards in it.
No, and so that's why we just want to like talk about what we would update from it, or what we think is good and what we think is bad. So initially looking at it, Spirit not needed anymore, or Spirit Tomb, whoever is gonna yell at me for that. Yeah,
Spirit
it's-
Tomb.
Spirit Tomb. It's not needed. Spirit. What is it? Is it Spirit Tomb?
Yeah, Spirit
Spirit.
Tomb.
I've
Yeah.
heard Spirit like 3 times when I was playing like my first year with Flygon, so I played it in every single deck. So it
Yeah,
was-
during a lot of the expanded regionals, I think a lot of people stuck with Virizion Genesect maybe just because they were comfortable with it and nobody really tested Expanded. So I
Yeah.
feel like Spirit Tomb warranted more of an
Nah,
inclusion.
they did,
But heading into this new expanded format, Virizion Genesect doesn't seem to be receiving a ton of hype. One of the reasons to play it is because it beats Seismitoad, but without Lysander's trump card, Seismitoad is slightly less powerful, so you're probably gonna run into less straight Seismitoad decks.
Mm-hmm.
Weird. So the deck list for itself, like standard stuff.
I mean,
since it goes all the way to black and white, like, do you like plus power in a deck like this? Or like
No.
it's not needed.
Plus
you got
power is
banned.
terrible in a deck like
I don't know,
this.
man. I've played some people.
Yeah.
They like plus power. I don't, but
Like, why would you
You get
play
cute.
plus power when there's so many other better cards that add damage, like
plus
Muscle
one,
Band,
plus one,
and
bro.
Laser,
Get Shaymin.
an extra playing the 4th Dark Patch, playing even Fate at Town to do extra damage to Mega Pokemon. There's so many better ways to do extra damage than plus power. One of the only reasons to run plus power over a lot of these other cards in any deck is like if you're trying to take advantage of something like Lugia, where you need to knock them out to like take an additional prize card or something with damage, where Laser wouldn't give you that benefit.
Yeah. Whatchamacallit? One of the players that won the Japanese national, the one with Yveltal Archeops, he even played a Faded Town, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else what else would you remove from the list? Like just initially looking at it, the Sycamore and Standard, Colress, Lysander. I know we're gonna have Hex Maniac and Ace Trainer. And those are like the two main ones that are being included from Ancient Origins that we're gonna have during the regionals.
Do you think
And
that you should put those cards in this deck?
No, I don't. But I'm just saying, like in general, like
Neither do I.
okay, good.
I was like, I think N is better than Ace Trainer, and
I
whatever.
agree.
And
I
then
think the other main problem that this deck has, just in general, is it's not running enough non-EXs to trade with the other non-EX decks. Like if you run into a Night March and you don't Quaking Punch them out of Battle Compressor, you're just gonna get bodied. You need more non-EXs to trade with them.
Yeah, and of course add a Shaymin EX for consistency.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Shaymin. Yeah, Shaymin. Adding in some
Pretty
Shaymin
good card.
would probably be good too. But I don't know. It's a good start. Yveltal, people like Yveltal. They always have. Now that whenever Dark Patch comes back, people are excited to play Yveltal and Darkrai again, even though it's boring.
Yeah.
To me. And Archeops is really annoying to deal with. Like there's counters to it, like Wobbuffet and stuff, but still you never, if you're an evolution deck, you never want to be sitting across from a turn 1 Archeops. So I definitely expect this deck to have an impact at regionals. I'd be very surprised if it didn't make Top Cut
Gotcha.
in some form. Yeah.
Franco, same thing. Like closer to the Yveltal. Like I personally don't like the deck.
Yeah.
I hate it. The only thing I think the only thing that makes it strong is the Archeops in it.
You hate it
like
because you don't like playing it, or you
I
hate
hate-
it, like,
I
you
hate
don't
it.
think it's gonna do well.
I don't like playing it, and I think it's too like I don't see what it has going for it that other decks like can't get on their own. Maybe that was always my problem with Yveltal. I never liked playing it during cities or anything because
This is the thing.
yeah, no,
you
but
have Dark
it's
Patch.
expanded. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean now you have Dark Patch. That's cool, but
Dark Patch makes a big difference.
it really
Yeah,
does. It does. It's good. But at that time, I love using Darkrai as my attacker, and which you can, I know. But
I mean,
I don't know.
Darkrai-
It's like
Darkrai
heavy
is a-
Yveltal.
Darkrai is a really good attacker. It's just, well, if you're talking about, it's like two different strategy. Darkrai, it's like it was really good. Like for example, as
Control
a secondary
Barbador factor,
attacker.
like kind of thing. Okay.
Darkrai was like really utilized a lot in Japan in Yveltal decks because of the lightning weakness that Yveltal has. So Darkrai was able to like cover that aspect, from Eels and Zekroms.
Yeah.
But if you're talking just like damage output, Yveltal with Dark Patch is
Oh,
just
obviously, so
ridiculous,
much better. Yeah.
Yeah, Darkrai is just like really good secondary attacker, and when you want to like switch strategies,
Yeah. I also think Manetric's gonna be pretty good with Hex Maniac going into expanded as well as in X and Y on. So like you run into that, you're gonna get bopped. But I guess that's an auto loss you just accept when you're gonna play like this. You can't have a deck that beats everything going into
Yeah.
expanded. So
Looking
alright,
at the list,
we'll get off the dark train and then just
yeah.
ugh.
I wouldn't say it's an auto loss. It's less of an auto loss than it was before. Like Yveltal during Cities versus Manectric, I'm gonna say okay, auto loss. But with like Faded Town and with Dark Patch and with Archeops, I'd say although it's a bad matchup, Yveltal stands more of a chance. It's gonna be less lopsided.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know. We'll see as like the format develops and we test more and stuff. That's just these are just our first impressions.
Yeah. All right. Next is the Night March Archeops that people have been playing around with on TCG1.
Ooh, Night March.
This list is also from Team Fish. Everything we're gonna be using is like Team Fish Knuckles. If not, it was something we found off of
Yeah,
Virbank.
so shout out to Team
shout out
Fish
to
Knuckles
Team
and all
Fish
the other
Knuckles.
people we net decked from.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, so that one's like pretty standard.
I mean, yeah, it's basically Night March with an Archeops thrown in instead of like the Archie's and Empoleon engine. I mean, I was looking at this list 5 minutes ago. One of the things that stood out was I feel like he put a large emphasis on like 2 Maxies Hidden Ball Trick and 2 Archeops, where you see that he didn't do in like the Yveltal list. And I feel like that's kind of a mistake. Like, I don't mind doing it if he was already playing like a lot of Trainer's Mail and a lot of Acro Bike and like putting a large focus on the Archeops, kind of like Jacob Van Wagner did with his Blastoise list. He had like 2 Jirachi, 2 Blastoise, 2 Archie's Ace in the hole, and then he had 4 Trainer's Mail and 3 or 4 Acro Bike and 3 or 4 Battle Compressor. But this list doesn't even play any Acro Bike, so I feel like I'd rather devote some spaces to Acro Bike before, or other consistency cards before I play the second Archeops or the second Maxies Hidden Ball Trick. That way, for matchups where Archeops is irrelevant, those items come into play more, improving your consistency. And Acro Bike also improves your consistency of Archeops, maybe just as much as playing the second copy of each of those prevents you from prizing it. Like, if playing Acro Bike helps you get it 10% more of the time, then that makes up for playing the extra cards to avoid prizing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. It's Night March, so I mean, is there like any evolution that Night March should be like scared of or be threatening
Not
that
really.
you
I
can
think
think
it's
of?
just to slow
Yeah,
other decks down and just to
I
end up
feel
with a
like it's like a nice addition
Crobat.
into the deck.
Crobat.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But I feel like at least even if you don't get like the turn one Archeops, it's Night March, so I feel like if you add the speed and focus on taking prizes, you might be able to like get one of the pieces to get the Archeops or something. If you're worried about getting prize or something or anything like that, because or else you can cut down, the Archeops to one or something perhaps. But I can see where this is going to.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
rest of it's just normal Night March, and
Yeah.
Standard
it's
Night
pretty
March,
good.
consistent. It's good.
Yeah.
Only
Um,
three Junipers.
all right, what do you guys think of the deck? Like, I've had a couple people that tested it. They said it's pretty solid. They like it.
It depends what you play against. If you
Yeah.
play against
So,
somebody
like
who wallies
everything.
into Trevenant, you're not gonna have very much fun. If you play against something like this Yveltal list, which only plays one non-EX attacker, you're probably gonna have a really good time. So I really think it depends what's sitting on the other side of the table. I feel like
Yeah.
saying it's kind of like a loaded question. Saying
Yeah. Okay, I gotcha.
good.
All right. So to make it
Yeah.
a less loaded question, would you expect more people to be playing evolutionary decks, from like the very first regionals without us doing testing and everything? Like everyone's thoughts. I think a lot more people would rather covet to Archeops or going for like the forretress Donk instead of trying to like try out a Selgor variance and this and that. Like, remember, there's plenty of top 32s for regionals that we had where not a single person played a Selgor Trev. There's only like one Selgor Trev
Yeah, it
into like
seems
this
like
huge field
everybody.
because everyone just thinks, and they're like, I'll just play VG. I'm not gonna run into that garbage, or I'm not gonna take a loss to that kind of thing. So
Yeah, it seems like Excelgor's never the dominant deck for whatever reason, either because people don't like it or people think it's annoying and they don't want to play that.
yeah.
But I don't know. I think there's still other evolution decks that aren't Excelgor that people might play. But I think in general it's gonna be like a good mixture. I don't know. Even like Mega Manectric is technically an evolution. Like if you come across some fairy deck, it still has aromatisse even if you can play without it. It's like really annoying. So there might not be decks that are, I don't know, so dependent on evolutions, but they have at least like some kind of stage one where Archeops might be annoying. So if your opponent has to waste their supporter for Hex Maniac, or if they have to waste their supporter for the turn on a Lysandre and they have to kill an Archeops instead of like your shaymin on the bench, maybe that tiny bit of extra tempo you get helps you win the game, because when it's a prize race with a deck like Night March, sometimes all it does is really come down to that one last turn. So if you disrupt your opponent one turn by forcing them to deal with the Archeops or waste their supporter, that might let you win. So it's like it might not win you the game straight up. Like I feel like all the evolution decks will have some kind of counter to Archeops in them. Like in the form of like Wobbuffet or Hex Maniac. Like nobody wants to straight up lose to this card, but the fact that you have to play around it is definitely gonna let your opponent get a tiny bit more ahead than they would have if they didn't have Archeops out to begin with.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you think Night March is gonna make a big splash at regionals? Do you expect a ton of Night March in Top Cut, or do you think it's just gonna get bopped down by other
Do I
stuff?
do I expect a bunch of Night March and Top Cut? No. Do I think a lot of people are gonna play it? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is cheap to build, and a lot of people who don't have access to as many of the expanded cards like Tropical Beach and stuff to play some of the slower setup decks. It might be a deck that people
We'll just
play.
be cool to just playing it together. I'm like, oh, we'll see how we do.
I expect it to make Top Cut. I mean, I don't really expect anything to be super dominant. I expect to see like a large variety in Top Cut, kind of like
Yeah.
what we saw at Worlds.
Well, we have
like,
20 sets, right? 22.
Yeah,
20,
so
yeah.
I expect
It's a
to
lot
see
of
like
colors,
a couple Night March and like Top Cut, but like not a ton. Well, if we only have a top 8, then not a lot. But if we have like a top 32 like day 2, then
Yeah.
expect to see at least a few.
Okay, so we can progress the conversation.
I like Night March,
next is no more Night March. Durant.
Durant's something I hated playing Durant back in the day. I hated playing against Durant because it ruins my favorite deck. I always like to play the old Vileplume decks, and I remember there was one Cities where I lost to somebody who was just kind of an average player because they devoured all my only 4 Rainbow Energies in one devour, and I couldn't attack. And I don't know, playing against this deck just made me really sad. And then I started playing, and then I realized why everybody played it, because it was so much fun to eat your opponent's cards and try and win by deck out. So I grew to like, I hated Durant, and then I grew to like Durant, and then Darkrai came out, and then Dark Patch, and it was hard to crushing hammer all the energies when they could jump in for Dark Patches. and everything had free retreat, so nothing got stopped. But I don't know, New Age Durant is very different, and I really haven't tested it a lot. So
Yeah.
I really want to.
I'm hoping to test it and then hoping it sucks, because I've never played it or played against it. The only time I've ever seen someone use it, was one of these guys from Pennsylvania, and he was playing against Serena in the expanded Tropical Beach tournament at Nationals, and they were like together in the finals. And apparently he dead drew like complete garbage, and then Serena just dunked him on turn 2 with like Landers and double Golbat or something juicy.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like these Durant decks are just a question of, can you mill your opponent before they take a bunch of prizes? Because inevitably, it seems like it's hard to make Durant like have that much more survivability. Like, sure, you could play stuff like Yveltal or Hard Charm, but it's not hard to do 70 or 90 damage very quickly. So just like, can you devour for 4, fast, and Trick Shovel and Ninjask them fast enough before they take prizes in like 7 or 8 turns? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. And prizing one Durant also seems like it hurts you a lot, because Durant used to have Rotom, and the games used to go on a little bit longer because you would catcher stall people and play more disruption cards. But now it's like, if you prize a Durant, that really, really hurts you. It's like a big risk running this deck. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so different than anything we've had in a long time.
Yeah. Franco, did you ever play with it back in the day, or like played against it? Was it?
No, I actually played it back in 2011 when it recently came out. I played at Cities and I got 3rd or 4th or something like that. It was really strong back then. Until, like Dylan said, Darkrai came out, and then, it went downhill somewhat from there. But
Somewhat, it was dead.
somewhat, yeah.
I saw a Durant.
Did anyone use the Heat More?
Yeah.
Wasn't there a Heat More that like you can eat your opponent based on how many Durants they had or something?
People used it at Battle Roads. There were some people that just Durant haunted them for states and cities and regionals, and they just grew to hate Durant. Their hatred for Durant just grew and grew, and they finally gave them a card where they can make sure that their Durant opponent would have no chance of beating them, and they played it until they were sure that nobody would ever play Durant again.
I never saw a Heat More ever, at least in Florida.
In fact, I would see at least one Heat More per battle.
All right, I personally have no idea about the rant list, so does this one look pretty good from when they put in, or like your guys' opinions
it's
on
so
it?
different than the old Durant list. The
Okay.
old Durant
Yeah.
lists were so
Okay, so
different.
it's like this is just like a good skeleton to start at and see where you can.
Yeah,
build
the
up
other
from
Durant
there.
list focused so much more on catcher stalling people, and this one is like more trying to put them on a faster clock with Ninjask and Trick Shovel, whereas the other one would play Ted Junk Arm, which is basically like Dowsing Machine, but you could play 4 of them, and Catcher, which is
What?
Lysander without a flip. So it was a
Yeah.
lot more disruptive than this version was, whereas this one puts them on a faster clock. So just, is the clock fast enough before your opponent inevitably kills all your 70 HP Pokemon? I don't know.
Okay.
Have
I
to
agree.
test it and see.
All right.
Yeah.
So to move on from Durant, the last list we have is the Fortress Donk with Latios. I don't know.
Do you expect this to make top cut at all, or do you just kind of think this is going to be a deck some people will
I
play?
think it's a martyr deck. You know, like they go in and they're just like, I'm ruining someone's record. Someone's gonna get it. Like I don't know if you guys ever played Yu-Gi-Oh, but like back in the day, there used to be like this dimensional fissure, Macros Cosmos kind of stuff. And what it would do is every time a card would get discarded, it gets removed from play instead. And the main meta decks at the time were all about discarding cards and then reviving them out of your graveyard and having like these broken combos. And so you'd have people who play these decks that are like, they auto win if they played against the meta. If they play against anything else, they just take a loss. And that's pretty much what you run into. Like I go against my friend and I was like, oh, how'd you do? I got Macros turn 1. That was or like round 1. And I was like, oh, well, there goes your tournament. Enjoy that martyr, because that dude's he's about to go like 1-5 drop, or like 1-4 realizes like he can't get there.
Well, it seems like in the right metagame, it could be like an anti-meta call.
No,
This is just
so
kind of
bad. So bad.
I don't
So-
know. I don't play Yu-Gi-Oh, so I don't really know.
Okay, well,
Neither do I.
similar to that, like this is that what I think, like when it goes off, it's gonna be amazing. If your deck's not prepared for it, and then you just accept the fact that you're gonna lose to stuff like this because you're playing evolutionary decks, then you might get bodied by a Fortress round 1 through 3, right? But if a lot of top players made like these heavy EX calls, or maybe they just, or like, you know, like your opponent drew badly with game 1, or they got to go first, and then game 2 they drew like crap. Because I do believe it's heavily decided on the dice roll. Because if you get to go first and you bench like 3 X's, and then if you're able to pick up an AZ, and then remove all that damage that you just did from turn 1 with like their 8 or 9 fortress drops, then they pretty much lost and just scoop it up from there. I've played against it once on TCG1. I slaughtered it because the opponent dead drew, but yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree that evolution decks just lose straight up, but just like you said, like if the evolution deck goes first, they're probably going to be able to get out 2 EXs or Hex Maniac or get out like Ball Toy or Wobbuffet, and they're probably going to be able to win.
It's tough though. Like when one situation I got stuck in, I was like, all right, if I open like Trapinch, Duskull. Of course, we're gonna go to Flygon. I always have to talk about it. So I opened like Trapinch, Duskull, and a Shelmet, and then I was like, oh, I don't give an Ultra Ball. Bench Wobbuffet, DCE, retreat, and then I was like, wow, if I prize my Wobbuffet, because that was like the one thing I opened with, then I would have lost it. I would have instantly. I would have lost instantly. They could have just put down 6 damage counters and everything, and I would have got bopped. So I feel like when you play an evolution deck, you get put into a corner. Like you're forced to evolve next turn. You're forced to max potion. You're forced to this, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, but I don't know. I'm actually curious to see if this deck is gonna be, if it's gonna like actually. I don't even know if people are gonna play it or not, but let's say
somebody's
they did.
gonna play it.
So many people are gonna play it.
But I'm curious to see if this deck actually gonna like make it in and maybe win, or it's just gonna become like another one of those shift tree kind of deck, because my group of people from Japan, they basically told me to not play shift tree because they just basically told me it's good, but it's not like a winning deck.
Gotcha.
And they don't see it as like winning deck, you know.
Didn't Latios get banned from Japan? That's what I was told by Keon.
No.
Okay,
no,
no?
he did not.
Okay, he's lying.
And also
Keon lied.
that we don't have, and also the fact that he doesn't, or we can't. It's not banned, but it's like due to the rules, we don't have first 2 kid. That also kind of makes it a difference significantly, I want to say.
Okay.
No, I don't know. I started to like rant about Shift Ray versus Fortress before, and it's kind of like Shift Ray didn't have the problem where if you go first with Fortress and they open with a couple of X's, Shift Ray could win, whereas Fortress can't win. If your opponent opens with Wobbuffet, Fortress can't win. If your opponent goes first, Fortress usually can't win. Assuming they could, like, even if they're an evolution deck. If they're an evolution deck, they're probably running Wobbuffet or Hex Maniacs to counter Archeops. So they're gonna have like a counter built into their deck, whether or not they care about beating Fortress or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking at the list, that's how I felt. I was looking at the list and I'm like, this deck has really strong like early pressure, but I feel like if you survive like the early phase of the game,
you mean the first turn?
Yeah.
The early phase of the game.
Yeah, I feel like afterwards.
The mid game is when you're using like the 4th devolution spray. That's the mid game. The late game is when you have like 5 cards left in your deck.
Yeah. There's no more trump card and stuff, so I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. I mean, it's basically it's like all like probability and stuff. It's like every single time you go second, you're almost always going to lose. If you go first and they open with Wobbuffet, you lose. If they go first and they open with 2 EXs, you lose. There's like just so many scenarios where you lose. I feel like your win rate is just gonna be below 50%. Overall, like if you just like assume that you go first half the time. And like you win like every single game. They don't open with 2 EXs or Wobbuffet, and then you lose every time you go second. But then sometimes you go first, they are gonna open with Wobbuffet or 2 EXs, and then you're gonna lose. So you have to basically get not only, and like even if you win half your games with this deck, you're not making top cut. You have to like get like very above average, run very above average, run very high to make top cut with this deck, and then continue running hot to win the event. So. I mean, it seems like it's fun to play on PTCGO, but I don't think anybody who's seriously trying to get to Worlds or win regional should play this deck. But I don't know. If Pineco's your favorite Pokemon, have fun with it. Or if anybody could find an answer, like where you can still like donk a Wobbuffet, or find a way to like for the damage output to be higher so you can kill your opponent even when they start with 2 EXs, then you somehow broke Fortress. But I don't see a way where that's possible. And if that exists, then they should ban this card.
Yeah, because Latios Donk that did well in Japan, it was basically structured based on taking advantage of the rules, so it's different, you know.
Yeah.
This one. The other one was like, oh, times is cold. Okay, I'm gonna take prizes and win by prize difference. But here it doesn't work like that.
Yeah,
so
you get
we'll
a tie. You get a tie and you get body.
See. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was the last list. So now it's just what we feel like discussing, or any thoughts that we didn't have inside these lists, or that we didn't go over earlier. Decks that you think might have a chance to like make a splash with updated changes from Ancient Origins.
Like Selgor
What would I
things,
say?
Manectric things. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Some things.
Do you think Evolutions will make a chance? Not
Yeah.
really. I feel like they're okay, but I know Donphan Evolution
Yeah.
sounds really fun to play because Donphan.
It really depends what else other people decide to play. Donphan
Yeah.
Evolution seems like a metagame thing. Depends what else
Yeah.
is out there.
Not a week one thing.
I mean, it could be a week one thing. If
I mean,
You
if you
never
run
know.
hot, if you run into everything,
Yeah.
good for you.
It depends on the meta. Even though we don't have a meta.
Yeah.
I mean, I think really after this weekend, from what I've been told, like
Mhm.
German Nats is supposed to happen. They're supposed to. I mean, not German Nats.
The
German
Arena Cup.
Cup. Yeah, and they're supposed to post deck lists and stuff after that. So I'm sure we'll see something about that on Virbank City Gym, and then we'll have more deck lists and more of a metagame to comment on. But right now, we're just kind of throwing ideas out there, discussing ideas that Team Fish Knuckles threw out there. I wrote like some thoughts on like 6 prizes. Some of it overlaps with this. Some of it's a little bit more in depth, like analyzing like Yveltal Archeops, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, until I feel like a lot of people are definitely going to be influenced by like videos like this, articles, and results from some of these international
Cup.
tournaments. Yeah.
But this today, like alone, I saw 5 different posts on Burbank where people were just asking, like, what are the top decks of Expanded, or what is everyone's thoughts?
I mean,
I
there's
don't know.
not really top
There's,
decks,
exactly.
it's
That's what I'm
kind
just
of
trying to say. Like,
Yeah.
there's no surefire answer. It's all
Perfect.
opinionated. Because like some people are telling me, "Oh, Huntail is still ridiculous."
But I can build at least 2 or 3 decks that beat Ho.
Yeah, and then those 2 or 3 decks are actually like consistent and can make top 8. But doesn't
Yeah.
mean Ho Huntail is awful. It's just if you don't run into those, good for you. If
Because the 2 or 3
sees
decks
what
I
this-
build to beat Ho Huntail, I can build 2 or 3 decks to beat each of those 2 or 3
Yeah,
decks. So it's like,
It's pretty
They
much
go
about
for
the
it.
matchups.
yeah, with 20 sets, it really depends what the general
Yeah.
public decides to play.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
then-
so hard to decide when nobody on Burbank even knows what's good or knows where to begin. So these videos
Yeah.
like these and articles like the ones I wrote are just kind of more of a starting point than anything.
Yeah.
So hopefully this weekend we have the Arena Cup, and
then
that'll
we'll
give
have
like a
more
lot of stuff.
Yeah, more stuff to discuss after that.
And then we can start playtesting Expanded, and we'll have a lot more things to discuss.
Cool.
Especially with the decks. See if we can find any secret combos.
Yeah, there's a new Gumi in the new set, so I expect
For
something
God's
big to
sake.
come out of that.
So bad.
He has an ability and everything.
Yeah.
He gets another Gumi.
Yeah, he gets another
He's so
Goomy.
Gumi.
In Expand It, we keep Archies and Blastoise, so you can run Jacob Van Wagner's Archie Blastoise engine, and then you can swarm Goomies on turn 1 with the ability.
I like that.
Yeah.
And you have a Skyfield. That way you can have as many Gumis.
Yeah,
Yeah, 4 Gumis.
I like it.
That's
A lot
I
of
like it.
potential. So just
Goomies are
there's a
good,
ton of
right?
things. There's a ton of things to look out for in Expanded, essentially.
Yeah.
All right. Do you guys have
Yeah,
any other closing thoughts or anything,
No, I added my only other closing thoughts.
Franco?
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Okay.
Peace.
All right. We'll
Mhm.
see you guys. We'll see you whenever the results get posted. So either like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Probably make another video about the Arena Cup.
Yeah, we
And
might.
if anybody has any other ideas what to talk about, because right now we're just kind of there's not a ton of info about
Throwing
Expanded.
ideas,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where if you comment or message us, we'd be happy to make another video before this weekend. But otherwise, just look for one like Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Mhm.
Have it easy. Take it easy.
All right.
Wow, that was awful.
Thanks for logging into someone's PC, and thanks to Franco Takahashi for taking some time to join us.
Yeah,
So-
thank you,
Of
Franco.
course. Yeah, thanks everyone for watching this video too. Appreciate it.
All right, see you guys.
All right, see you guys.
Mhm.